woman's perspective, okay, because there are a number of single women out there, aren't they?
Yeah.
They might find it a lot more challenging to sort of go out and approach, right? Because that's always traditionally been a male sort of type of thing, right? So the male goes out there, does the first interaction, you know, etc. But from a female perspective, how would they go out there and just sort of start talking to guys?
Okay.
You're so ready to jump into
I'm
this.
like, I'm so excited.
Because funny enough, right, so I've told a couple of friends that I was doing this,
Yeah.
and they were like, you know, ask this and ask this and ask that. So that's one of the questions.
Well, I think what we have to look at is I think that gender roles have shifted
Yes.
a lot, and that quite frankly not enough men are approaching. If all men had gone through there, felt very masculine and felt that it was socially acceptable to approach and that system was working fine, great. But how many women do you hear complaining that where are all the good guys? Why do no guys chat to me? I'm bored. And also women take action in all other areas of their life, right? You know, they go after the careers they want, the education they want. And so I think, why is it stigmatised to go after the man that they want as well? So I think there's a way that you can do, and I think the association is that if I go after a guy, I'm going to be considered easy, if you like. It's like I'm giving myself away. However, surely it's the same if a man approaches a woman and says, hey, I think, you know, you looked really beautiful, I had to come and say hi. That, the physical attraction, I think, is only ever the reason to say hello. It's like that impetus and that passion to take that action to walk over. After that, you should be going in with the mindset of this man that's in front of me, he has to show me that he's going to be a quality human being, I have to actually connect with him, and that she's going to be controlling the relationship from there on in. I think Caspar actually has some really interesting advice. We were just chatting about this yesterday, about screening potential partners, which is, I am all about teaching women that have to have the mindset and the skills to both approach and also give out the right signals so that men approach them, both of which are important, and also how to understand, I guess, when a man is trying to flirt with them, even though he might not be doing the bestest job in the world ever, how to get the best out of people. And what Caspar and I were chatting about yesterday is then at the next kind of phase of the process, how women can more effectively choose who is the right guy for her and set expectations accordingly.
So I have a slightly different perspective on this, and maybe it's an extension of what you were talking about. Because I think that a lot of dating advice is very stereotyped, and for guys the emphasis has so much been on cold approach, pickup. And I think that's it's a very useful skill to have in your tool belt, but how often does it really happen that you see someone and at first sight you know that you want to get to know them? It does happen, but it happens rather infrequently, I would say, at least to me personally. And if you don't feel that, then how much integrity is there in that approach? I think that, just thinking about all the people that I've met in my life, many of them have been through social contacts and social networks and places where there's kind of a shared connection, a shared reason for being there, so you know that you have something in common. And one of the fundamentals of any connection is trust. And trust is built, amongst other things, by similarity, by sharing some things in common, whether it's an interest or an attitude or even deep like personality aspects. And anytime that you meet people through a friend or at an event where you have a shared interest with the people there, you know that there is that degree of similarity, that you share that in common, and it's much more likely that you will be able to connect with those people. So what I'm really interested in is not sort of a linear process from meet to relationship, but much more of how to develop relationships with the people you meet anyway. Of course, there's also the skill of approaching someone that you see them and you have a keen interest in.
I think the thing is with what I teach is not to just approach when you feel strong physical attraction. I think whenever you see something interesting or engaged, seeking more engagement with human beings generally.
Absolutely.
So I think then that helps people to, I agree, building out social circles, removing degrees of separation, and actually when you first engage with the person, there's ways that you can remove those degrees of separation through skills that you do. So I think, again, if you tell someone, like, the only reason you should be chatting and engaging with other people is to get sex or to get a relationship, that's a really bad way of approaching other people. And then instead, if you just increase your human interactions exponentially anyway, get better at talking to engaging people, encourage that flow and build out your life, then and eventually you just have an attractive life, and then people should start magnetizing towards you. And I think a lot of people, a huge problem is that they actually get stuck in this model of thinking there's only one way of doing things, and that they don't really, that they also, I agree, they think too linear, and they also, that linear motion that they go through overemphasizes some kind of goal or target, which again then stops them from truly connecting to people and enjoying the journey and the process and building relationships. And I also think that when you meet people, and I think that you're on the same page, it's like they don't always have to be the one. They can be a great friend, they can be a person you enjoy going to coffee with, having parties with, and I think accepting people into your life for who they are, giving them the freedom to choose how they want to participate in your life, and growing your life more organically, that's when you start to then have the ability to meet really fantastic people who might be the one or potential long-term lovers.
And I think it's all about capitalizing on that, like you say, because already there's so many different options of involving new people in your life. And of course there's approaching someone or making yourself more attractive and accessible to be approached. But there's also your existing network, and what a difference it would make when you get together with your friends on a Friday or Saturday to just tell them to invite one new friend over.
Yeah, the bring a friend
exactly.
evening. Bring a friend you don't know. It's a great
idea. And the cool thing is,
it's
great, huh? Yeah. And the cool thing is, those people are pre-selected. Like, you know that your friend has a reason for being their friend as well as yours. So there's a connection there. And another thing is so if you want to meet new people and potential partners or potential contacts or whoever, sort of intensify and use the network that you already have to bring more people into that. And also, if you have an interest, pursue it in a social way. So in a way that you know it will bring new people.
Well, I think that not enough people don't have enough passion in their life outside of dating. They're like, oh, I want this, and then they don't actually focus on how they can become a more attractive human being. And really, dating and relationships, it should be a byproduct of a happy, healthy life anyway. So I completely agree. If you do you, and you follow your passions, and you build a life that actually you're enjoying and engaging with anyway, then that's when things start to click in place for people. But when they say that they don't have any passion, they spend their whole passion is learning how to get women by reading a lot of books and internet forums on it, that's unsurprisingly
well, I think that's a symptom fairly exclusive to the pickup community. And that's not, like, what I really want to focus on is how anyone can develop a freedom to take a relationship and figure out what direction to develop it in.
But I'm also in favour of social freedom, which is increasing more community and ability to interact and engage with people. I think, leverage your existing network, but that ability to feed new people in. I mean, all the people I think of in my life at the moment, not all of them, but a lot of them, I have pretty interesting meeting you stories. And I love that. I love being able to act in the serendipity of the moment. Or just little things, like I think instead of looking on our iPhones when we need to go somewhere, why not ask someone for directions? I'm all for lo-fi because I think just building back and starting those conversations again with people, immediately you feel more connected. I don't walk around London thinking this is a huge metropolis and a strange city. I feel at home here. I bump into people I know in the street all the time. And it's because I've been walking around, it's because I engage with people, and because I think people know when they meet me that I have an interest in them as a human being. And I think that real human curiosity and that desire to bring value to others and that belief in building more social freedom, more social community loops all of that together.
I think a really great example of that is the other day when we were walking in the station and you noticed your friend Sam, I think, and engaged him, and he had been standing there, but he didn't pick up on that. He didn't notice you walking up to him. And I think so much of this is about being perceptive, about getting out of your own head and really opening up to the world outside of yourself. And that is a process that works on so many different levels, because when you have your attention inside of yourself, you can become acutely aware of any sliver of anxiety or discomfort in your body. Whereas if you focus your attention outwards, you're very much engaged with the world around you, and there's no mental space for that. If you're focused on the social world, if you're not dealing with, if you're not shutting yourself in mentally, then you can be so much more outgoing and so much more social and really interact and calibrate interactively with the people that you're engaged with.
Yeah, I mean, one of the principles that I teach is just to start observing people. And the first exercise I do before we even approach anybody is just get people to walk down the street and I start saying, okay, what do you notice about them? What's interesting about them? What does that behaviour tell you about? What do you think they're like as a human being because of the way they've done that? and starting to get people to actively engage with these questions. And again, I think it's like switching people on and waking up to the fact that we don't have to be on autopilot, and in fact there's a way that we can just go about our daily lives which makes us more present and more connected to other human beings. And I think observation is something, funnily enough, whenever I'm speaking to people that work within our industry, I always notice the fundamental thing is that people are highly observant. Even if it comes to, I noticed you had a book on your shelf in there, you mentioned that earlier. Oh, your gloves, I saw them. Like, people will visualise and see things and remember things and be taking more of their external environment in, which then allows us, I think, to make better connections with people, because we're able to, that perception, that ability to really see and really understand a person in those first starting moments is what builds that real intimate connection where they feel like then you know each other much better than perhaps you actually do. And it's just a process of switching on, a shift that people need to go through.
Yeah, and it's about connecting to the energy of the other person, just kind of noticing how they like to carry themselves, what they value, how they like to organize their space, the things that are important to them. And you can pick that up just from where people look, where they place things in the space around them, tells you so much about their interests.
I think people should carry a notepad, or if you want an iPad, if you must, around with you. And just when they're on the commute, just looking around the carriage and beginning to make those observations, that's good groundwork for actually going out and meeting people. I don't think that when I coach around meeting people, it's not all about pelting down Oxford Street at 1,000,000 miles per hour and stopping strangers in the street and chatting them up. It's not about that. That's the wrong focus. But I think genuine engagement with other human beings and making the most of your time and your normal interactions and really putting yourself out there and being open to these wonderful experiences that are in your way. There's just so much more that people can be doing, I think, every day.
Yeah, sure.